Hello, and welcome to another lesson in the Death Merchant University series. Today we're going to be talking about mouse sensitivity. Mouse sensitivity is very important because much of your ability to move and aim, the fundamental skills of an FPS game like Team Fortress 2, is dependent on your ability to control your mouse. Finding the right sensitivity for you is an important step to becoming the best possible player you can. To start, let's talk about what goes into your sensitivity. It's mostly going to be affected by three main settings. First, your in-game sensitivity value, second, your operating system sensitivity setting, and finally, your mouse DPI setting. Because there is an infinite number of combinations of software and hardware sensitivity settings, it's simplest to talk about sensitivities with real-world units, so inches or centimeters required to move your mouse in order to make your in-game crosshair move a full 360-degree circle, or succinctly put, your inches per 360. There are plenty of online sensitivity calculators out there, and you can find one linked in the description that'll allow you to convert all of these different settings into your true real-world sensitivity value. Sensitivities can generally be seen as a continuum of settings. Between 0 and 6 inches per 360 are sensitivities that I would consider fast sensitivities. It takes less space to move your mouse to get that full 360-degree rotation in-game. Then between 6 and 12 inches are what I would consider medium sensitivities, and then from 12 inches and beyond are what I would consider slow sensitivities. Based on that continuum, I'm currently operating at about a medium fast sensitivity with a 6-inch 360, but what's right for me might not be right for you. You can succeed really at any point along that continuum, but there are several aspects to consider that I will outline that will help you find your personal optimum. It can help to think of your sensitivity as affecting a balance between movement and aim. Moving towards slower sensitivities on the continuum tends to benefit your aim, while moving towards faster sensitivities tends to benefit your movement. The corollary of which being that moving towards faster sensitivities tends to hurt your aim, while moving towards slower sensitivities tends to hurt your movement. You might be asking, why does faster sensitivity benefit movement? Well, faster sensitivities allow you to quickly look around the map and see obstacles and enemies more quickly and reliably so that you can dodge. You can also airstrafe and do all kinds of spins with faster sensitivities that simply wouldn't be possible with slower ones. If you do prefer a slightly faster sensitivity, maybe you're a very mobile, flicking aim reliant player, try to push your sensitivity towards the slowest point possible where you can still maintain your movement without spasming uncontrollably. Being unhittable isn't really worth it if you can't hit shots yourself. You may also be asking, why does a slower sensitivity benefit aim? Well, that's because generally a slower sensitivity is more easily controlled. While it does take more effort to move your crosshair onto your enemies, it also takes more effort to miss. Thus, the rapid and wild flicking shouldn't really be happening nearly as much because you physically can't move your mouse far and fast enough to flick. If you do prefer these slower sensitivities, perhaps you're a very grounded, tracking-reliant player, try to push it towards the fastest point possible where you can still track your opponents well, but you can move more unhindered. Never missing players in front of you is also not worth it if you're rendered useless to anyone who's above you or behind you, or forced to use a turn bind to spin around or anything like that. So hopefully you can see that there are unavoidable trade-offs for either change. So the most important thing to do is look for a proper balance that suits your playstyle. There's certainly a lot of conflicting advice when it comes to sensitivities, so where should you settle? Hopefully I can give you a couple more concrete and specific guidelines that'll help you find out what your personal sweet spot for sensitivity is. First of all, always tailor your sensitivity to your main class, which is going to be the most important class to be able to play your best at. And I would go further to even say that you should use the same sensitivity on every single class, just for consistency's sake, and to promote a seamless transition between all classes if you happen to be switching game to game. Beyond that, a quick sensitivity checklist for you to consider would be the following questions. Can I perform a 180-degree turn within a reasonable amount of time? Can I look around at the things I need to unhindered? Can I hit most of the shots that I should be hitting? Can I perform rocket jumps? Can I airstrafe? Is my setup comfortable for prolonged periods of playing? If you can say yes to all or most of those questions, you're probably operating at or close to your optimum sensitivity. A few more things to keep in mind would be the practicality of your sensitivity due to your environment and your ergonomics. If you only have a tiny desk space that can only fit like an 8-inch mouse pad, for example, you're going to struggle to run a sensitivity that's very slow. So make the adjustments either to your setup or to your sensitivity. Also, your posture will strongly influence your most comfortable sensitivity. If you sit like me, where you're more leaned back and you plant your wrist on the edge of your desk, a higher sensitivity is almost necessary due to your limited range of motion with your wrist. On the other hand, if you prefer to lean in and have your arms much closer to your desk, pulling off a slower sensitivity will be much easier due to the extra range of motion provided by utilizing more of your elbow and your shoulder. Above all though, consistency is going to be the key for you to choose which sensitivity is going to be the best for you. To achieve a slightly higher level of consistency, I do have a couple recommendations for you. First, I'd recommend disabling mouse acceleration. Acceleration means that your mouse cursor will move further distances the faster you move your mouse in the real world, so you can effectively have multiple different sensitivities going on at the same time. You can disable this by going into your mouse control panel and unchecking the Enhance Pointer Precision setting on Windows, and then going into TF2 to enable raw input in the mouse menu. Unfortunately though, some mice do have acceleration features built into their sensors or software, so you may need to make a change to your hardware or uninstall your software in order to fully eradicate acceleration. When I first started, I didn't actually know what acceleration was, so I just ended up getting used to it. But after learning more and more about it, I slowly reduced it over time for more consistency. First switching from the Windows Excel to TF2's built-in Excel to now the no Excel that I use now. I consider my aim better than ever right now, so I'd encourage you to save yourself the time and just turn it off right now. The next key for consistency with your mouse sensitivity is don't even consider changing any of your settings until you've properly warmed up. A lot of issues caused by rust are very easily misattributed to settings, so try to avoid falling into that sensitivity changing trap. Try to give things time. Gradually adjust them over longer periods of time, and stick with each setting for at least a few days before you make a change. One of my philosophies has always been that if I've been able to play well with a setting before, I can always do that again, even if I feel like I'm in a slump, so I tend to avoid changing things almost all the time. Settings can get into your head to the point of obsession or addiction, which can make you play even worse when ultimately they're often nothing more than a placebo. While some of the best players I've known have changed their sensitivities daily just to shake things up, I've only changed mine about 4 times in the 9 years I've been playing. So choose the approach that better suits you, but just know that consistency tends to be the most reliable method. Hopefully now, after all these considerations, you better understand how to arrive at your optimal sensitivity, and you'll be moving and aiming at your best in no time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.